By the way, all our materials should not be shared. It's exclusive for the Empolido review group only. So we're now on the demand and supply of land for urban development. So number two. Okay. So what's this context all about? Because it says it has a purpose for urban development. So it's dedicated for urban development. So urban development aims to balance economic growth, environmental sustainability, and social equity. So identifying goals for urban development requires um, understanding the needs of the population, the capacity of existing infrastructure, and long-term objectives for sustainable growth. And what are these key development goals? So we already 2.4? Uh yeah, we need to start with 2.1 pala. So 2.1. Okay. So it says in 2.1, assess, okay? Assess the rationale for and the imperative of land use regulation by the state and the hierarchical institutional framework in which land use is embedded in the Philippines. So quite long. Um, so it is 1.5% in the overall of this particular topic, and then three items spread there in the evaluating no analyzing two items. One, evaluating level. So okay. mm, so it's okay, we know that demand and supply for of land for urban development. Land use regulation is a critical tool. I think I've said this a number of times last night. So it's utilized by governments to ensure that land resources are allocated, developed, utilized efficiently and sustainably. So in the Philippines, land use regulation is embedded in various institutional frameworks and guided by laws, such as the Local Government Code 7279, CLUP, uh, and all these guidelines provided by HLURB, now DSUD. So if we look at that, 2.1. So why are we assessing then? Because we have the rationale for state regulation of land use includes number one, it ensures that land development aligns with public safety, economic equity, environmental protection, and all those surrounding public interest protection. Then also, it should balance competing demands for agriculture or agricultural, residential, industrial, and commercial land use to prevent resource conflicts, right? So, what else? Uh, Protecting environmentally critical areas. So, we would be discussing soon what are ECAs and what are environmentally critical projects, areas, and how we conserve resources for future generations. So we have also the hierarchy of institutions. So we call the hierarchical institutional framework, consisting of national. So we have NEDA, we have HLUR, HLURB, now this SUD. Then we also have the RDCs, right? That integrates land use planning across provinces to ensure alignment with regional goals. Then the LGUs. All LGUs are responsible for formulating and implementing CLUPs, which serve as the primary tool for land use management at the city or municipal level. So the interaction of these levels ensures that land use decisions are not only locally appropriate, but also aligned with national development priorities. So for 2.2, I think we have Jen, akyat yung 2.2. So, we have to examine, 2.2, we have to examine major settlements and their distributions in space. So 1% two items. So it's there located in that is so for two items under 2.2, it's under if analyzing. So analyzing level of the Bloom's taxonomy. So, settlement patterns are, it describe how human populations are distributed across a geographic area. And this includes rural settlements. We have urban centers, which we call the central business districts. Then we have also regional hubs. So spatial distribution of settlements depends on several factors such as geography, economic opportunities, accessibility, resource availability, government planning, and many more. So there are also key factors influencing settlement distribution, which include um, physical geography. So what are these? These are natural features like rivers, mountains, and plains, which significantly affect where settlements arise. So coastal areas and river valleys often attract uh, dense population due to fertile land and trade opportunities. uh, for the economic factor, uh, it is a key factor because due to its proximity to markets. Also, industrial zones and infrastructure fosters urbanization and settlement growth. Then, looking at this again, just concentrate first on 2.2. Anyway, we will have discussions on that later. And just to give you like a tip of the iceberg or like background before we proceed to the MCQs. Um, we also need yeah, a key factor also that influences settlement distribution is infrastructure and accessibility because settlements develop and expand where transportation networks like roads, railways, and ports are concentrated. So, and then also government policies are factors also in land use plans because state planning or national planning efforts or such as CLUP and then CLUPs at the local level, uh, national planning framework and national development frameworks are there for at the national level. But CLUPs, CDPs, these should guide settlement expansion to avoid uncontrolled sprawl and promote sustainable urban growth. So, regarding, okay, I'll read it again. Examine major settlements and their distributions in space. There are patterns of settlement distribution. So, number one, concentrated settlements. So, type of settlements are typically seen in urban areas with high population densities and vertical expansion, such as the Metro Manila area. So that's concentrated settlements. Then there's also what we call the dispersed settlements. These are found in rural areas characterized by scattered households and agricultural activities, among others. Then there's also what we call linear settlements. I'm not sure if you are located in such a pattern of settlement. So I know is it Norzaga, right? No, Dipakulaw, or is it Aurora? So it's a linear, linear settlement. So I've seen the map. It's often seen along transportation corridors like highways or rivers. So another pattern is clustered settlements. These are this is found in towns and villages with houses grouped closely together, often around central facilities like markets or religious institutions. So after saying that, concentrated, dispersed, linear settlements, clustered, and there are also a combination of all these patterns. So by now, you should know the pattern of settlement in your own city or in your own municipality after saying this. Okay, you should be conscious about that. Um, so that you can relate that in your preparation for your environmental planning board exam. So, and then I would like to go to 2.3. What's that? Determine whether urban expansion areas are within the existing urban services envelope. So this must be a little bit tricky, and you might wonder, what are these existing urban services envelope? So, um, the urban services envelope refers to the spatial boundary within which a city or municipality can efficiently provide essential infrastructure and services such as water supply, sanitation, waste management, electricity, transport, and other emergency services. So, determining whether urban expansion areas fall within this envelope is critical to ensure sustainable and cost-effective growth. So there are key considerations for urban services envelope. Number one, the ability of existing infrastructure to support additional development without overloading systems. Another one is expanding services beyond the urban envelope can be costly and time consuming. Another one is that urban expansion beyond the envelope may lead to deforestation, habitat destruction, and unsustainable resource use. So another one is urban sprawl, wherein growth outside the envelope often results in unplanned, low-density development that strains public resources. So the CLUP should define the boundaries of the urban services envelope and guide decisions on urban expansion. So we go to, so you know now about that, you have a background. And 2.4 is identify goals or identify development goals for urban development. So what is that? Okay, urban development aims to balance economic growth, environmental sustainability, social equity. It also identifies goals for urban development that should require understanding the needs. What are these needs? Needs of the population, and then the infrastructure, the existing infrastructure, so its capacity, and then the long-term objectives for sustainable growth. There are, so I think, time and again, I mentioned about the key development goals, economic, environmental, social equity, infra resilience, governance, and participation. So, like, what is this all about? Governance and participation. We need to foster stakeholder engagement. in decision-making process. So that's the value of public participation. And this should be aligned, or we should align urban development goals with national and regional policies within this one. And that's why it's called governance and participation. So we also need to build infrastructure to withstand natural disasters, or and then investing also in energy efficient and sustainable transport systems. These are important as key development goals, and many more, especially social equity, because at the end of the day, it's still the national welfare goals that matter, and that is the uh supreme law, and it's in the Constitution, 'di ba? What is that Latin word about that? I think Jen knows about this one. I always tell her. What is that, Vox Populi? S Suprema Lex. Okay, it's the supreme law. Okay.
Voice of the people.
General welfare. General welfare is so, as not only for lawyers, but also as planners, we should look into equity, so especially social equity in terms of housing, that we ensure affordable housing for all income levels. And then we always make sure that our plans provide accessible public services such as healthcare, education, transportation, and more. And we also need to have balanced and healthful ecology, and that's the environmental sustainability goals. So that's also in the Constitution, right? So it's one of the it's one of those you what is this? One of those things that should be seen in our plans. Then we have 2.5 project, or no, project. Okay, that's verb. So project future demand for and supply of land for urban development. So there's a formula by Professor Sarote, and we will be discussing also on that. There's a formula for demand and supply, or that demand for and supply of land. So and it's important that in this subtopic 2.5, projecting future demand and supply for land in urban areas is a critical task in land use planning. This process ensures that urban growth is sustainable and addresses future housing, infra, economic needs, and more. So there are key steps there in projection, okay? Because it's all about, it says, project future demand for and supply of land for urban development. Um, so what do we do? What are the key steps in projection? Uh, we use demographic projections to estimate future population increases. We also need to, under population growth analysis, we need to consider migration trends like rural to urban or intercity migration, many types of migration. Um, so another one is we need to forecast economic activities. Like it's key that it's important we analyze anticipated commercial, industrial, and service sector expansions. There is also there should also be a great consideration on um yeah on regional economic development plans, like and policies also, that we need to look into this one. And land suitability assessment means that we assess the current availability of land for development, and we include land characteristics like topography, soil quality, and proximity to infrastructure, and many other considerations. How about infrastructure capacity? How do we evaluate that? We need to identify whether current urban infrastructure, such as water, energy, transport, can support projected growth. Then we consider expanding urban services to accommodate demand when we evaluate infrastructure capacity. Then also, what is scenario modeling? If you've heard about this, we need to use tools like GIS to simulate future land use patterns, and we need to create multiple scenarios based on varying economic and demographic inputs, and of course, the environmental constraints that we need to integrate environmental considerations such as floodplains, forests, conservation zones into land projections. So lastly, we have 2.6. What is the 2.6? Develop strategies to deal with land deficit or land excess scenarios. So deficit or excess scenarios. Okay, so we are concerned about the strategy. So a land deficit occurs when there's insufficient land to meet urban demands such as housing, industrial zones, public spaces, etc. Conversely, a land excess refers to surplus land that remains underutilized or vacant, potentially leading to inefficiencies in urban management. So developing strategies to address these scenarios is critical for ensuring optimal land use, economic efficiency, and environmental sustainability. So, what are those strategies for land deficit? First, we have densification. What is this densification? It means we focus on vertical development, such as high-rise residential and mixed-use buildings to maximize limited urban space. We can also, under densification strategy, we can also promote land sharing schemes for common use facilities like parking or parks. Then another strategy, because I mentioned densification, and then we had land reclamation, although this is highly criticized as a strategy, but it's still a strategy for land deficit. We use reclamation techniques to convert unutilized water bodies or wastelands into urban zones. However, this must consider environmental implications. Policy reforms is one of those strategies for land deficit that we introduce incentives for private landowners to release undeveloped land for urban use. We also, under policy reforms, we also impose land taxes on underutilized plots to discourage land banking. Urban expansion also is one strategy under land deficit, that we extend the urban service envelope. Okay, we expand that to adjacent rural areas. We ensure proper infrastructure and utilities are being extended to support new development zones. Now, so what about the strategies for land excess? Uh, Reclassification of land use is one strategy, which involves um, conversion of excess urban land to meet other needs, such as industrial zones, green spaces, or renewable energy projects. We Another strategy is attracting investments, such that we promote investment in underutilized areas through economic zones, subsidies, or tax holidays. Then, how about temporary use allocation? This involves utilization of excess land for temporary uses such as community gardens, renewable energy installations, like you have those solar, photovoltaic power plants, etc., utilizing, high technology driven solar panels. And then another strategy is consolidation. Consolidation of land resources, whereby we pull scattered vacant plots for more cohesive and strategic development. So those are the things that we need to know before we proceed to the MCQ. So I think it's time for you to remove sharing so that I can also share the questions that you've just taken. So let's see how you did very well. So if some of you here, yeah, was it, some of you here, were able to perfect or to, yeah, lahat correct, perfect the exam. So congratulations. So it means that you are already, you're quickly adapting to the strategies. So let me see that. Sana yung just a moment. Mm, mm, mm. Where is it? Ayan. So where are we, Jen? And which number? Four, no? So demand, two.
Demand and supplies.
Hmm. So, ayan. So, but first, I have a trivia again. Jen.
Ma'am,
So,
di ka pa naka-share.
nga. So, relax. Ah, it's kind of ano kasi loaded na. Ang dami ng nakalagay. So, I'm not sure why I cannot share. So let's see. Share here. Share. So can you see can you see the image there? So do you know the phrase? Ang kulit ka, no? So but I really need you. So I have a objective here. Why you need to be, you need to increase vocabulary, to perform well in the board exams. And not only that, those phrases that we need and those idioms, they're important. Who knows, it will matter if we develop, if we can expand our vocabulary and all this. So, do you know the phrase? Wala pang nakakakuha ng points eh. So, do you know the phrase? Yesterday, different strokes for different folks. Different strokes for means that we are unique.
Burning the midnight oil po.
Wow. So who was that?
James.
Si James. Wow. Very good. So my 1 point ka na. Okay? Ipunin mo yan like rewards. May reward yan. So, so what do you mean by that? What do you mean by that, James?
What do I mean by burning the midnight oil?
Yeah.
Burning the midnight oil, ma'am.
Uh-uh.
Well, burning the midnight oil is working late into the night or reading or studying
Yeah.
hard.
Studying very hard. So, are you okay, para makita nila. Okay, so are you burning the midnight oil, James, for your preparation?
Sometimes.
So,
Pag ano ma'am,
uh,
pag hindi rin heavy sa work, kaya. So, yun.
okay, so you're burning the midnight oil. So, I hope you can use that. This is the second phrase, right? So, different folks. different strokes for different folks. So so ano yung ibig sabihin noon? That we are all, we are different, right? That everyone has their own preferences, interests, or ways of doing things, and what works for one person might not work for another. So we're all different, and but we're here in the same Zoom and trying to, um, learn more for our, and we are preparing very hard for our board exam. But you have different ways. So depende ba yun sa age, or depende ba yun sa background? So it would, are you someone printing all those materials and, starting to display or put it in your walls, in your ceilings? Are you someone like that in your toilet? Nilalagay ba ninyo? Or are you someone, kasi I noticed, when we have very long review hours, and then 24, and then naging 17, right? So it's something that you may not be someone who's burning the midnight oil, or working or studying late in the night. Probably your time zone, your how do you call that, James? Your body clock, no? Sometimes you're more
Yes, ma'am.
adaptable to, morning. You probably between, you're a morning person or a evening person. So, saan kayo? So, but James was able to answer. Naka 1 point na siya, oh. Burning the midnight oil. Oh, okay. So, like a reward system, dyan you record that. So, meron na siyang 1 point.
Oo, may
Okay.
reward talaga yan.
Ay, reward yun. So, because, um, I'm someone that, I use idiomatic expressions heavily in my speeches, in my lectures. So I would like you also, baka makahanap din ako ng someone who can also adapt to this type of, mga languages. Okay, working or studying late into the night. So may picture naman eh. So very good, James. Congrats. So we can now go to demand and supply of land for urban development. Okay. So that's 2.1. We go to 2.1. Sige nga. So I would like to hear you so that we will all be relaxed. So unmute who wants to answer. Ah, Sige, ibalik ko muna doon. Ano? So it means 30%. No, no, no. 6%, 12 items. So just imagine, pag ma-perfect natin ito, just imagine you have 6% sa exam. And this is 45% of the overall, because siya yung pinakamalaki no? Land use process techniques. Um, it comprises 45%. If you're able to get all this one, number two, that's 6% already. But it's equivalent to 12 items. So you need to answer correctly all the 12 items to earn 6% out of the, 30% of land use planning, and out of the 45%. Okay. So, out of the 100% of 45%. So it's a lot going on there. So, um, analyzing two items, one item, evaluating. Sorry. So there's an answer already. But okay, anyway, you took the exam earlier. So why B? So yun na lang. Unmute. So I need to listen to you. Paano kayo how do you plan for the answer? And what are your strategies here? So I need someone, all of us, feel free. So feel free to speak here, because when you become planner, or you will be invited to talk about land use planning, di ba? So okay, someone unmute and tell me why it needs to be letter B. Feel free. Do you have a strategy? What are the keywords? You start by saying the keywords are, and then, so why it has to be letter B? So what made you choose letter B?
Ma'am, since it is located in an environmentally critical area because it is a protected watershed, kaya dapat i-consult yung DNR kung anong mga requirements for the ECC.
Yes. So are you saying that so you decided on letter B because of that protected watershed? So, because it says a city government is planning a new urban housing project, so that's clear that we are planning for a new urban housing project. But the site selected overlaps with a protected watershed. So uh, there's a constraint there because of that area. So that's what you're saying. And then what is the first step? So yun yung ano no, that should be the how you would jump in and to decide what is the first step the city should take to comply with a hierarchical land use regulation framework. Okay, when you are in the practice means that you have become an environmental planner. You can do something like discussions like this. But in your exam, bibilisan natin. Iba yung attack natin sa exam versus when we are analyzing and because we are already in the practice. Here, you may wish to um go over the ABCD, the options. Like A, obtain clearance. RDC is out of the context. It's obtain clearance from RDC. So did you see anything there? It's a city government. So RDC has nothing to do with this. And then letter C, amend CLUP. The, would you amend that as a first step so that you can comply with the land use regulation framework. So it's something that could be you don't amend to conform, isn't it? And then letter D, you seek the approval of the NEDA board for national alignment. So does it have something to do with this? So when you answered consult with the DNR, because it's the DNR, isn't it? The EMB specifically, EMB of DNR for an environmental compliance certificate. Because, actually in the ECC process, uh, the first thing is to determine jurisdiction. So is it the regional office or the central office? And for central office, there's a general rule that it should be the jurisdiction of DNR central office when it is an environmentally critical project. And then also, and if it's located in environmentally critical area. So those are the considerations that would let you not for you to decide, but depends on your project that ECC should be the one that should be secured, but from where? Region, central, so parang ganun. So lumayo ako. However, yung sinabi ni James, sino nag-answer kanina?
James, ma'am.
Sige. Sige, James. Now, you continue with that because is it ECC is mandatory when development overlaps with environment with ECA?
Not only is it mandatory when it overlaps with the environmental critical area, ma'am, pero
Mm-hmm.
that's a new urban housing project.
Mm-hmm.
So, sa amin kasi sa LGU, kahit naman anong project, ma'am, we need to apply for it's either an ECC or a CNC. So,
Right.
nagde-depend lang yun sa urban housing sa project and kung
Mm-hmm.
gaano kalaki yung area or kung ano yung extent. So, pero with this kind of with
Mm.
question,
Question.
since it is within a protected watershed, and a protected watershed is in an ECA, so definitely ma'am, ECC po siya.
Correct. Okay. So, at least, it's just a one question, but we've discussed already the salient features of ECC. Because if you look at letter A, yeah, it oversees integration at the regional level, but does not issue permits for environmentally sensitive areas or ECA. Then, and letter C naman, I repeat that reclassification should only occur after environmental compliance is assured or something, but it's out of the um yeah, out of the equation for letter C that you amend, right? Sabi niya to reclassify the area. And letter D naman is the role of it's all about the role of NEDA because NEDA's role um is strategic, but it does not typically involve specific project approvals unless the project is national in scope. So sa scope siya. That's why we need to eliminate because it's national in scope. So, but if we are dealing with answering it substantially, like not using a technique, a test taking technique, and then that's how you answer that. Just what James had answered that we consult with the DNR for so we seek guidance from DNR. Okay. Uh, Yan. So someone, another person. So in what scenario is the RDC most likely to override a city's CLUP? So nakalagay doon A. Why A? If we look at okay, I'll answer first BCD, bakit hindi? And then you let me know, okay? So for B, when the club lacks approval from the city's Sangguniang Bayan, so it's not the one approval by the Sangguniang Bayan is internal in the city or internal to the city and does not fall under RDC jurisdiction. So nothing about that. Letter C is while disaster risk reduction is essential because it says when the CLUP fails to address DRR measures. So this did it mention about DRR hindi, di ba? So while DRR is essential, it is primarily reviewed during the local approval process. Then letter D, when the CLUP prioritizes residential zones over agriculture or agricultural land use. So the prioritization of land use types within the LGU's purview unless it conflicts with higher level policies. So, for letter A, okay, let me know. Bakit? Bakit yan yung answer? Jaya? Diyan na yung ano. So, when the CLUP conflicts with regional spatial? So, obvious ba siya, no? With regional spatial development strategies. So, for example, if they have their regional corridor or something, yung mga usual na ginagawa ng mga ano, like integrated area sa mga integrated area development that covers the intercity or inter province. So that's a concern of, for example, the RDC. Then it falls under these regional spatial development strategies, right? Now, so it's a scenario whereby RDC most likely can override would ever override city's CLUP. Okay. So also what else? Because if there's conflict, the RDC's strategies will take precedence to maintain regional consistency. So it's because it's a higher hierarchy. So conformity, consistency with the higher hierarchy is we should note that. Okay. Now, a municipalities CLUP, so that's evaluating prioritizes commercial development along riverbank to boost local revenue. So these conflicts with national flood hazard maps designating the area as a high risk zone. What's the best course of action for planners to ensure sustainable development? Sometimes, yeah, it makes you like become nervous when the sentences are a bit long, right? So, ang gagawin ninyo, when you analyze that, you have that test question versus test answer sheet. So, answer sheet you need to protect, right? Answer or test questions you need to, doon kayo mag-scratch paper. So, you need to cut that. So, what's the concern of the first sentence? Uh, CLUP prioritizes commercial development, but you also need to encircle along riverbank, and then you underline local revenue so that you know that there are many things going on even in the first sentence pa lang, di ba? So these conflicts, another encircle with national flood hazard maps. So national flood hazard maps designating the area as a high risk zone. So, what's the best course of action for planners to ensure sustainable development? So, doon kayo kukuha how to answer that. So, what's the best course of action? So, you need to look for the best course of action. But it says it's asking you to ensure sustainable development. If you answer letter A, uh, proceed with the, ano to? Yeah, mitigation proceed with the commercial development, but include flood mitigation structures. So did it answer or ano? Um, so mitigation structures cannot entirely eliminate the risk, to life and property in hazard zones, but it did not say is it flood mitigation or something? It says conflicts with national hazard maps, right? But letter C request NEDA to override, so nothing about that. The national flood hazard maps. Then develop a mixed-use plan that integrates flood-prone areas into public open spaces. Is it correct? Amend the CLUP. Okay, Arnold.
Yes, ma'am. Good evening, ma'am.
Oo.
Personal opinion lang ni ma'am ba regarding this ano ma'am. What if in a particular municipalities, ma'am, all those areas were already ano na allocated na, and then there was area wherein in the area there along the riverbank na pwede naman for commercial development. No, kasi wala nang ibang
Mhm.
area eh. Kung mag-amen tayo ng
So
CLUP,
that's
then
the variable that you are looking at, no? Sabi mo,
yes, yes po ma'am.
what? Okay. Go ahead.
Yes po. Yes po ma'am. What if ano na allocated na lahat eh. And then nakita natin the riverbank is nakita sa municipality or the local government unit na uh, may potential for commercial development. Then personal lang sa opinion lang nito mama.
Mhm.
Siguro the local government yun, or the municipalities, siguro di consider na siguro and then proceed para ma-address yung problema, siguro proceed with the commercial development but include yung flood mitigation structure kasi para nandito naman this conflict with the national flood hazard. Siguro sa tingin ko lang mama,
Mhm.
oo.
So, ang ano, okay, number one, it's along riverbank, 'di ba? To boost
Yes, ma'am.
yung commercial ano. Then but this situation, the problem is saying that it conflicts with national flood hazard maps designating the area
Yes
as
po,
high
ma'am.
risk zone. So it means that commercialization versus this one, your high risk zone, right? That there's conflict within that. Ngayon, so in this particular ABCD, the options, you need to choose, right? But in
Yes
your
po.
case, you're trying to say that commercialization can proceed provided there are measures in place.
Yes po.
Kung wala na talaga, ganon.
Yes po, ma'am. Yes po, ma'am.
Okay.
Ang tanong
So,
dyan, ma'am, what if kung ah, allocated na lahat yung nasa SLUP?
mm.
Oo.
Allocated na lahat. Okay. So,
Allocated na.
that variable actually, sino na ito? Si sorry? So, who's the one talking? I cannot see.
Arnold po, ma'am.
Arnold. Okay, Arnold. Arnold, so that is, now I can see that, uh, when you say nag-add ka ng variable na what if there are no available spaces and the only recourse there is to still continue with commercial development along riverbank because that's the only place left, or and there are no available spaces anymore to extend or to have commercial development elsewhere. Parang ganun na lang yung variable mo.
Yes po.
Uh,
Yes po, ma'am.
that is a form of overthinking actually. Wag kang lumayo. You be contented with the four options because if you do that, you are looking for some solutions that it's not provided in the choices. Ganon. So that's a form of overthinking. That's very dangerous.
Yes po, ma'am.
Very dangerous. Wag kang mag-isip ng hindi naman nakalagay sa problem. Wala siyang sinasabi na walang available. Okay? Pero when you become ENP, then we will talk about that. And I think that's brilliant variables to be inputted here. But if you are confronted with a question na wala yan sa ano, don't overthink. Because if you do that in all, ano, mazizero ka. Okay?
Yes po,
So,
ma'am. I understand, ma'am.
okay. Pag ganun. Pero I would like to talk about that in the future when you become ENT. Itawid natin itong ating examination because the goal of this exam specialist that help in crafting this TOS is para lituhin kayo. And they succeeded when you think that way. Okay?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you po, ma'am.
All right. They succeeded. So, A is ano, proceed with the commercial development but include flood mitigation. So that's what you have been ano no. It did not say but include flood mitigation structures. Uh it did not say that because what it's concerned about is, so as a planner, what's the best course of action for planners to ensure sustainable development, because it should be very costly, no, when you include flood mitigation structures there, but you need to review. So it's part of the process that you don't proceed immediately without evaluation, because this is an evaluation question. So do you get that? Okay, it's an
Yes po, ma'am.
evaluation.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, you cannot proceed without look into the ganyan, into the question. Request NEDA, that's, you need to eliminate that. Then eliminate also mixed use plan that integrates flood prone into public open spaces, because it's not uh develop. So these are straightforward questions eh. Develop a mixed use plan, proceed with the commercial, request NEDA. And these are not conforming to an evaluation question, because evaluating means that you need to go back to the plan, and look into it. We and establishing a course of action without basis of evaluation will lead you into something. Wala ka namang basis why you need to proceed. And so that's why nilalagay nila doon evaluating level. Alright? So I'll proceed with next one. Okay. Analyzing. So probably those type of questions na analyzing kasi nasa 2.2 na tayo. It means that you can really make some straightforward without going back to the question. Because when you amend, when you amend the CLUP, uh, or review or amend or ensures, and then you have opportunity to aligned with national hazard, maps. You do assessment, a lot going on there, and you can prioritize public safety. So sustainable development requires risk avoidance rather than mitigation in high risk. So between risk avoidance versus mitigation in high risk areas, like putting all those yung kanina na yung flood mitigation, ganyan, could be it's costly, dangerous, etc. So okay, now a government agency is tasked with creating a development plan for a region characterized by linear settlements. So we're now in that aspect, diba? Because 2.2 is, these are a set of questions that needs examination of those settlements, major settlements, and their distributions in space. So a government agency is tasked with creating a development plan for a region characterized by linear settlements along a river system again. So which factor should be prioritized to ensure sustainable settlement growth? Okay. So, we have A, establishing. So, obviously, because nakulayan na yan, and so that's the question. But letter B, letter B, encouraging industrial development along river banks. Do you think so? That's the correct answer? No, because industrial development may exacerbate environmental degradation and increase flood risk in the area. And letter C, increasing agricultural production in the region. While important, agriculture does not directly address the primary hazard of flooding in linear settlements. You increase agricultural production, does it assure that you uh, uh, ensure sustainable development there along linear settlements? So that's what I'm trying to say, that it does not directly address the primary hazard of flooding in linear settlements. Letter D, expanding transportation networks parallel to the river. So transportation network expansion may increase settlement density, but does not mitigate hazards. So answer is letter A, because linear settlements, it says establishing flood control systems to mitigate water-related hazards. Linear settlements along river systems are at risk of flooding, which can threaten lives and infrastructure. So flood control measures such as levees and drainage systems are essential to protect these communities and ensure sustainable development. So questions are shifting, options are shifting. So you need just to address the question. Don't overthink. You need just to address that and be responsive rather than adding variables. Okay, so let me go to the next one, which is analyzing, kasi there are two items only for analyzing. A region exhibits dispersed settlements. So, you know what is dispersed? That's the opposite of concentrated, di ba? Dispersed settlement pattern with poor access to basic services. So, which strategy is most effective in addressing the issue? So, Is it letter A? That letter A, it says centralizing settlements through relocation programs. Well, relocation may face resistance and disrupt social structures. So, um, centralizing settlements. So, through relocation programs. So, letter C naman is establishing mobile service units for healthcare and education. While mobile services provide short-term relief, they are not sustainable solution. And also letter D, promoting agricultural development to improve local economies. So, economic development alone does not address access to basic services. It's very general. The question is general. So, connectivity, okay, is so developing transport network to connect dispersed areas. So connectivity is critical to dispersed settlements to access essential services. So a transportation network enables the movement of goods and people, improving service delivery and economic activity. Remember, in a dispersed settlement pattern, transport, access, transportation network is key so that because it enables the movement of goods and people. Okay, so that's the problem with when a city or a municipality uh decides for a dispersed settlement pattern whereby the utilities, infrastructure, infrastructure like for transportation are, being compromised because it's not ready. So, sometimes a city is suffering from premature, urbanization, whereby they they would opt for dispersed settlement when it's not yet ready to be this to have this one. So there must be a reason for why you are dispersing settlement or you're following this particular pattern. So let's see.
For
Um,
access, ma'am, is the keyword po, ma'am.
access. Kaya transportation network, no? Sa in that strategy, no? So when you are eliminating.
Yes po, ma'am.
Yeah, so that's the easiest thing, to eliminate. So while you listen to me on the concepts and everything, now you must be already thinking how to strategize your board exam. Okay? Bilisan ninyo yung mag-eliminate so that you would only be left with two. And if you get very fortunate, you get only one. I mean, na-eliminate mo na yung tatlo and even without thinking, you have an answer because you already eliminated three. So, you're correct in saying that access, di ba? So, that's a keyword already to answer that it should be transportation network that you should be looking for. Kanan, correct. So, that's brilliant. Okay. Um, and then applying. Okay, so we need to apply the concepts. A city government's plan to expand its urban area to accommodate rapid population growth. Okay, please picture in your mind. How can planners determine whether the proposed expansion areas are within the existing urban services envelope? I discussed this about urban services envelope. So even without me explaining about the concepts there, can you already get something there? Like keywords para makasagot kayo? So, what will you eliminate already? So, historical do you need focus group, 'di ba? It does not need focus group. So, you
Ma'am,
still do FGD?
sige.
Okay, please unmute. Okay, go ahead.
Ma'am, hula lang po. Yung ano ma'am, yung keyword po na are
Mhm.
within the existing urban center. So, pag within ma'am, ang choices po dun sa answer is regarding po distance. Kaya po
Yes.
letter A.
Oo, correct. So, sa existing urban services envelope, so these are yung it's something like anong tawag mo doon? Yeah, I forgot the word that should refer to the limit. I forgot that. So there should be a technical term for that. Na ito, so it's within. And then when you expand, so because the question is how can planners determine whether the proposed expansion areas are within the existing urban services envelope, isn't it? Because yung first sentence niya is to expand its urban area to accommodate rapid population growth. Now, please continue. I would like to hear paano kayo nag-a-analyze. Go ahead. So, when you answer, so, okay, because we are trying to discuss here, can you tell me also why not B, why not C, why not D, para makita ko paano kayo nagja-justify why you are eliminating that item or the choice. Go ahead. Sorry, I cannot see who you are, kasi nakabalandra yung aking Canva, the whole screen. I cannot see you. I can just listen to your voice. Game?
Ano lang, ah, yung urban services envelope talks about utilities. That's why, ano, yun yung
Ye-
ano ko kanina.
Yes, okay. So, utilities din, na? So, tama yung lahat yung sinabi nyo. It is within, so it's all about distance and then yung utilities. And so, you have an answer na letter A. Ganun ba yan?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, now I'm getting how you are applying it, ano? So, and then policy requiring developers. So, ang dali dun sa letter D, no? It's so easy to eliminate that, right? So, para tatlo na lang. So, if you can do something like you can answer in 30 seconds or even less, elimination siguro yung first choice ninyo. So it depends on you. Different strokes for different folks. Isn't it? That iba yung brain natin makakaiba paano mag-attack, paano mag-strategize ng answer natin. So, yung historical land use maps naman, to identify areas previously zoned for urban expansion, historical land use maps. So, could be not really responsive. So, sana pa-practicein natin yung at least two answers or none at all. And then, you're left with one answer na kaagad because you were able to eliminate three. Okay? So keywords are also important. Then next, a metropolitan region faces challenges in determining whether its proposed urban expansion areas align with existing service coverage. Which combination of tools is most effective for analyzing service alignment? Why letter B? Nasa 2.3 na tayo. And the topic there is determine whether urban expansion areas are within the existing urban still ano no, yun pa rin. Applying to items, analyzing on items. So, would you like to do that, metropolitan region?
Same with the previous question, ma'am. So it talks about urban services.
It
So
talks about,
about urban services.
okay.
Uh,
And
that's
that's
why
why.
urban utility network. And then at the same time, the question also propose an urban expansion areas. That's why GIS mapping is the most ano po, uh, logical answers po.
Okay. So because it's urban, right?
Yes po, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. So, yes, GIS mapping provides spatial data, no? So, I'm just trying to articulate this one and overlaying it with utility maps. Okay, because it talks about utility network overlays. So, and overlaying it with utility network maps helps planners analyze whether proposed expansion areas have access to existing urban services. So, this approach is precise and data-driven, ensuring effective decision making. So, that's what analysis there in letter A. It lacks the spatial analysis capabilities so needed to map service alignment. Then the historical zoning there are zoning records do not include indicate current service availability and because historical, isn't it? So and stakeholder consultations provide limited technical insights. So and then for letter D naman, remote sensing is useful for environmental analysis but does not map utility networks. So participatory mapping workshops are not technically robust enough for this purpose. So answer is letter B is because I mentioned already that spatial data and then overlaying it with utility network maps. So we can already analyze whether the proposed expansion areas have access to existing urban areas. So, okay. Next one is a city CLUP identifies an urban services envelope that does not include a proposed new residential area. So you can picture that in your mind. What's the most critical step for planners before approving the expansion? So look at that. Conducting, okay, conducting a socio-economic impact study of the proposed area. So that's so what do you think about that one? Because expansion, socio-economic impact is not the main concern here, isn't it? It's not the main concern. So, uh,
Mali.
sorry. Okay, continue. You can go ahead, please. Sorry. So someone wants to talk, diba? And then reevaluating the boundaries of the urban services envelope in the CLUP is not the main concern also. Boundaries. Because the lack of the non-inclusion of the new residential area, yeah, is the problem here. So what's the most critical step for planners to approving the expansion? So if you reevaluate the boundaries of the urban services envelope and it's not the boundary actually, it's the CLUP itself that did not include, isn't it? And then the consulting residence is something like they're not, it's asking the planners not the not about the residents, okay? Um, so we need a technical expertise in how to do this. So we assess the cost of extending infra to the new area. That's the most critical step because we don't have anything yeah, in the tree it does not really, it's not, there are not responsive answers to the question. The only left there is the, although cost of extending there, uh, should provide you a question, should let you deal with the question. So how much should we need to extend infrastructure to the new area? Isn't it? Because you did not, uh, your CLUP did not provide or sinabi niya sa first sentence, a city CLUP identifies an urban services envelope that does not include. So you look into that and into that urban services envelope that did not include proposed new residential area because proposing a new residential area entails costs, entails utilities that you need to provide, you need to invest in. Okay? Any more insights there? Para at least, anything na,
Mahirap itong question na ito, ma'am.
sorry, sige, go ahead.
Mahirap itong question na ito po.
Hirap nga. Yeah. So, it's something that I need your insights din. How you would like to answer that. Kung by elimination, well,
By imagination, ma'am.
si-
Kasi, actually, honestly, dito ako nagkamali. Na ano ako
ay,
dun sa...
dyan ka nagkamali?
Yan ang
Same.
nagkamali. Mahirap talaga.
Really?
Nakalimutan ko nga yung yung urban services envelope. Tapos yung infrastructure. Nakalimutan ko na yung utilities pala under the ano po ng infrastructure. Kaya medyo hindi ko naisip yun. Ang
Tricky siya?
tricky. Pag socio-economic naman, syempre pag maglalagay ka ng new residential area ba, parang naisip mo naman, anong impact nito sa socio-economic ng area na yun? Yun
Okay.
yung naging ko A or B eh. Pero most because of urban services envelope does not include, ibig sabihin yung utilities niya hindi pala kayang abutan yung magiging area. Kung
Mm,
i-imagine mo kung magkakantat ka nga ng maglalagay ka nga ng project to a new area. Syempre, kung
mm,
residential yan, number one of the na ipo-provide is meron bang utilities, may outfall, may kaya ba ng water services. Yun yung dapat
mm.
na kung i-imaginein po natin. That's why
Yeah.
vertical po yung B.
So, okay, let me repeat. Letter A, so these are important, the socio-economic impact. But they do not address the immediate logistical and financial challenges of the expansion. So, when you expand, and then the letter A there is, will you conduct a socio-economic impact study? Socio-economic impact. Ang layo pa nung impact niya. Wala pa yung project eh. So, it is asking the most critical step. Okay, it's not yet critical to do an impact study because impact study comes at the end when you already have a project and you need to assess, you need to measure performance, and you need to, like, and it is an audit that goes there at the end, so you need to eliminate letter A, and then the letter C naman is reevaluating the boundaries of the urban services envelope, that when you reevaluating the boundaries should only occur if there's a long-term justification for the change, because reevaluating cannot really the boundaries, it's not it's not directly answering the question, because our problem here is it's an it's we need urban services, or a city's CLUP, it said there, identifies an urban services envelope that does not include a proposed new residential area. So that's the problem. And so if you're the planner and there's a need to approve the expansion, 'di ba? I-expand mo to accommodate the proposed. Then, will you do impact study? Will you look at the boundaries of that envelope? It's not, it is important, but it's something that not really responsive. So, and then letter D also, consulting residents are valuable, of course, but it's not a substitute for technical and financial analysis, which only planners and other allied professionals can do. So, eliminate mo lang si letter D, eliminate mo lang si letter C, na-eliminate mo lang sa letter A. Now, your next step here now is not as a planner, but like as an examinee, no? As an examinee, when you are confronted with these options na napakahirap, and then, is it correct? Isa na lang yung natira. So, assessing the cost of extending infrastructure to the new area. So, when we assess the cost of infrastructure extension, uh, and then we determine the, like, financial feasibility. So, may involved on yung sa cost niya, di ba? What are the tools available when you are determining cost? So, we need to do some cost benefit or feasibility study, parang ganon, of the proposed expansion and ensure the city's resources are not overburdened. So, letter B, assessing the cost of extending infrastructure to the new area. Dun pa lang, even if I'm the examinee, I would really answer letter B because even the word choices, it's there already. Extending infra to the new area. Because infra naman yung residential, di ba? So it's all about utilities, transport, etc. That it overburdens the city. So, di ba, who is responsible for extending this? That's why urban sprawl is a mortal sin because when you follow, when the pattern of development is urban sprawl, then your next problem is, so what about the utilities? So you need to, it's not the burden of the developers, but it's the biggest burden is with the rest with the LGU, with the city government here in this question. So not the next question is, you're not even thinking about the envelope eh. You're thinking na, OMG, that's so far. It's urban sprawl that we're dealing with. So as a planner, I cannot imagine that houses will be built there. So how about the roads? How about the water supply, power, electricity, and all other utilities. So ganun. And Miaan. Okay.
Ma'am, question ma'am. Paano kapag meron sa option na answer na update the CLUP? Parang gaya po dun sa isang question na may option na isa sa answer po na option is yung update the CLUP like that po. Dun pa rin po tayo sa B.
Pag nakalagay yan okay, it's a good question. If we include letter E, update the CLUP, do you think so? If you update the CLUP, you're able to, because that's land use no? Sa land use. The problem here is both land use and infra. So it's a cross-sectoral problem. When you are dealing with the land use that did not include residential area, but because you need to determine that, so what will you, naka-identify kasi yung new residential area. So it's not just a problem of infra, but you think of other elements there that could complete or the achievement of a proposed new residential area. So merely stating their land use, update the land use. Just imagine, try to picture it in your mind. When you update the land use, it's still not, it's still not critical. Na-change mo nga yung land use, but how about the preparations for uh, a proposed new residential area? Pwede mo, unless the land use would say that it's included within the area. The
Opo
problem.
ma'am. Kunyari po yung ang specific yung option na answer na update the CLUP to include parang new residential area like that po. Or ano po, dun sa question ang keyword po ba is yung before approving, ang ibig sabihin po ba nun ma'am is nasa scenario na po na urgent, andyan na parang kasi syempre updating the CLUP would take really time, parang would take time, parang mahabang time po 'yon. Pero dahil ang keyword po ba dahil before approving the expansion as is na ito na yung dapat ito na yung scenario, ano yung dapat na kaya po parang ang naging answer po dahil assessing financial matters na yung pinag-uusapan. Ganun po ba yun, ma'am?
Yeah, just come to think of it, there's a proposed new residential area, di ba? Ibig sabihin, may proposal na. So, may proposal na. But if we include, okay, so if we include updating the CLUP and still the preparations, when you zone it and then you include residential. So it means it's ready also for to become residential because when you are zoning, it's not just mapping, but you also have to assess the readiness of the area. Is it really, and that's why the decision of the planner is key because you know for a fact that there are no utilities available there. So it means that when you rezone that, the question is, are there some infrastructure available or why you are reviewing that, why you are updating that to something else to fit that? There are decision making that should go with updating. And updating means you are changing it to conform. Because you cannot do that, updating the land use plan without having overlaid that it's appropriate for to accommodate a proposed new residential area. So come to think of it, you are zoning because nag-overlay ka ng mga maps and you've seen that there are infrastructure that there and hence it's ready. So, how would you decide that as a planner? Just imagine change mo and hindi pa rin siya nagko-conform doon So, still we go back to the cost. But probably when you are adding letter E there about land use, then probably you have to choose the best one that you as a planner, you need to demonstrate your technical expertise because just land use as a variable would not answer, the critical step for planners. Do you get what I mean?
Yes, ma'am. Medyo narito rin po ako sa question din, ma'am, kasi
That's why
parang
the
isip
the
ko parang
question, yeah,
nabaliktad.
hindi
For
naman.
example, for example, a CTCLUP identifies, parang nabaliktad ko po, a proposed new residential area that does not include an urban services envelope siguro. Parang na ganon. Nalito din ako dito rin. No? Isa
Ah,
sa, kaya nagmali ako.
oo.
Kasi parang mas
You know what?
yung
There's
city.
a decision. Oo, meron kasing readiness for example, you want to establish an economic zone in an area where it does not uh provide you the character. Hindi siya ready to become in the industry. But of course, there's always a way to do that. Uh like what's happening in Tarlac, isn't it? So there are many infrastructure going there, pero wala naman siyang, so the investment should be double, triple to make it ready. So that's what you call premature. When you force development in an area where it's not really ready. So when you are the land use planner, you make sure that conversion, kaya nga, di ba, kapag ka this existing uses, for example, it's residential, but most of the people there, they converted already. The existing use is residential. Then they went into mixed use. So sa baba niya commercial. And so and they followed all the rest of the residential houses there. The residents there are have converted it to mixed use. So it's ready for to be converted into being commercial yung use niya, di ba? Because there's readiness eh. They are there already. The actual use already is um almost 100% commercial already. But it's still, you're, you're still seeing in your CLUP, it's still residential. So there's readiness already there and it's ripe for conversion to become commercial. But in this case, when you are adding a variable of land use, you need to confirm that. But still there's something that you need to do so that you can accommodate a proposed new residential area. So dapat yung ma-master ninyo yung land use process whereby it's not as easy as that the kinulayan ninyo ng yellow ay ng red when in fact it's still for yellow or for residential, not commercial. So in this particular question, the CLUP whereby it's zoned urban services envelope. Sometimes you don't call it urban services envelope, so you call it something else like so residential, for example, or what's lower than na agriculture or open space or something. Pero it did not include a proposed new residential area, but this is very general in the sense that it means that the preparation, the readiness of that area, wala siyang mga utilities. Because it did not include that. Now, as a planner now, there's a proposal. And that's why it asked you, what's the most critical step for planners before approving the expansion? So will you just change the land use and did you solve the problem? So, okay. So you need to assess something else. So if you are if you are the planner and then I will eliminate all the socio-economic impact study. So we're not after the impact. And then the boundaries were not after that. We're after the critical step na of that expansion. So how would you go about the expansion for that proposed new residential area? And consulting residents, you're the planner, and it is asking you as a planner, not the residents. Do you think so? They're more technically ready to answer the question. That's why you're the planner, because it's getting your opinion. Now, what will you do before you approve the expansion? So, okay na tayo? Do you need more? Were you confused? Or okay na yung explanation ko? Hello? Nakatulog na ba kayo?
Okay na po, ma'am.
Okay na, okay. So,
Okay na po.
just develop the skills that the closest answer that you can get. Don't think about kasi mauubos ang oras nyo. Don't look for other answers. Basta ang i-develop natin dito paano mag-decide ng answer. Okay? For you can think about that a more in-depth analysis when when you become environmental planner. our goal here is how to answer tricky questions because not all those examination specialists are environmental planners. So their goal is to this to put distractions into the question. Okay? So that's our goal. So I hope so we're now on 2.4. We need to finish this, okay? We cannot afford to do this tomorrow. Okay? So anyway, we are now on 2.4. Tig-isa lang naman one item. So which of the following is not typically considered a goal of urban development? So if you look at that, obviously agricultural yung ano, 'di ba? Agricultural yung hindi a goal of urban development because letter A is for all income group, affordable housing, and then accessibility to urban public. So obviously it's urban. Then also letter D, obviously urban. Then promoting sustainable agricultural practices in rural areas. So obviously that's the answer. So I don't need to do my best and answer that. And then a city's development plan prioritizes social equity, economic growth, environmental sustainability. So, how are these goals interconnected in development? So, how would you answer that? So, masyado bang mahaba yan? Sige, Mia, yan.
Ma'am, guess lang po. Kaya yung letter A kasi ang keyword po kasi dun sa question is yung interconnected po yung tatlong variable. So letter A lang po yung may connection sila kasi yung B, C, D, dalawang factor or variable lang po yung connected. Dinidisregard yung isa. Parang
Yes,
ganun pa ata.
yeah, that's correct. So, um, kailangan, di ba? So, do you think, Mian, in the question, when you are there in the examination room, so you need to do some markings sa question so that hindi mo siya makakalimutan, okay?
Yes, ma'am, opo.
Oo,
Kasi yung letter B, C, D, ma'am, may mga words na like do not influence. Yung isa is
mm
letter C is independent. So, ibig sabihin po, yung isang factor hindi kasama, hindi connected, parang like that po. Tapos letters D,
Oo.
keyword na hindi po siya kasama is do not directly impact each other. Eh, ang tanong po is, ano yung dapat connection ng tatlo po? Nung social equity, economic growth, and environmental sustainability. So, letter A po yung obvious na answer.
Okay, correct. So, so you know what to do now, 'di ba? Social equity, economic growth, environmental sustainability. So, you have based it in the question that how are these goals interconnected. So, you look for the factors there. Kapag titingnan mo nga naman, social equity and environmental, dalawa lang, 'di ba na? Tapos, environmental sustainability and is independence. So, isa lang din. And then B, economic growth. And so that one, letter A only is the one that covered the whole, the three keywords there. That's correct. So, mm, so how about this one? Oh, remember it's evaluation. Which method? So, anyone? So that we can move to konti na lang, dalawa na lang yata. We only have one item there for evaluating. Who can answer?
Ma'am, same thing. Dahil yung letter B ay developing a model integrating yung demography, economic and environmental data. So
Mm-hmm.
most probably po yun yung tamang sagot.
Yeah. So, nakalagay sa letter A only, di ba? Use only population growth and then land demand, then solely. So, there are some words there that lead you to answer letter B, correct? So, I think so. This is the last one. So, okay. Any comment? this is a nice question actually. You are tasked with addressing a significant land deficit in a high density area. So which of the following, there's an answer already. You just have to explain to me which of the following strategies would be most sustainable by ensuring adequate housing and public infrastructure? Why that? Because that ano. So how about letter A, isn't it? Encourage urban sprawl to adjacent rural areas with minimal zoning. So urban sprawl increases infrastructure costs, isn't it? That was our uh previous problem also, although not the same, but it's still connected. And you would find later when you are in your examination, in your testing rooms, that one question could lead to another or they are interrelated. Kahit 10 questions yan related to each other. So, if you're not confident with your answer, skip first pero mag-answer na kayo and then balikan niyo sila pag along the way you were able to find the correct answer there. Uh, so urban sprawl increases infrastructure costs and leads to inefficient land use, right? So it is unsustainable and can disrupt rural ecosystems. And then letter C naman is while land reclamation may provide additional land, it is expensive and may have adverse environmental impacts. So although could be easy when you are tackling it like there are some already ideas there that you need to eliminate that. I'm just explaining that in letter D introduce tax penalties. Well, it may deter land hoarding, but fail to provide a holistic solution without simultaneous push for densification. And because we are so it's asking about which of the following strategies would be the most sustainable while ensuring adequate housing and public infrastructure. So the best there is because we need to do vertical densification. It's sustainable because it maximizes the use of existing urban space without sprawling into agricultural or rural zones. So additionally, incentivizing redevelopment addresses underutilized plots. I also mentioned about that in my overview earlier. And then, so it ensures also the efficient allocation of scarce urban resources. So the answer is implement vertical densification policies while incentivizing the redevelopment of underutilized plots. Please remember all these terminologies because you would encounter them when you're in the testing room kasi specific naman yung kanilang TOS. So, for sure, there would be you have been already familiarized with all this terminologies. So I'll stop here. Thank you for your participation, and I really enjoyed tonight. It's 11 it's 11:16, so kumonti ulit nakatulog na yung iba, but still I appreciate very much your interaction. So Jen, thank you everyone.